It's been days since the first Chinese surveillance balloon entered U.S. airspace. But since then, discoveries have uncovered something that would go in the history books forever.
China has said America is waging an information war against it by accusing Beijing of spying with high-altitude balloons.
The latest now on the Chinese spy balloon. We're learning more about the Chinese equipment and mission as Pentagon officials were grilled on Capitol Hill about why they waited so long to shoot it down.
After some heated exchanges between the two nations, the world order revolves around what happens next. But before we move on, make sure you press that like button. And if you do like watching videos related to global politics and paradigm shifts, make sure you press that subscribe button as well. The extent of the Chinese spying efforts revealed by the surveillance balloon caught hovering in U.S. airspace hardly comes as a huge surprise. This is, after all, what big powers do to one another. But the depth of acrimony over the balloon is telling, a register of how fraught relations between the U.S. and China had already become. Worse, it suggests that the two powers are close to a point where further confrontation becomes inevitable. The relationship seemed to be moving towards a positive direction, and it was all good until Secretary of State Antony Blinken had to cancel his visit to Beijing. Well, the hovering balloon was much more than a white orb hovering over. According to reports, it was a Chinese spy balloon hovering over some secretive nuclear sites. And now the million-dollar question is, if this spy balloon was hovering over nuclear sites with such ease, what lies ahead? And for those of you unaware of why spy balloons are a serious threat to a country's sovereignty, let us show you how. Spy balloons, also known as surveillance balloons or aerostats, are large, unmanned balloons that are equipped with cameras, sensors, and other equipment for the purpose of gathering intelligence and surveillance. They are used by military and government agencies for a variety of purposes, including monitoring border areas, tracking illegal activities such as drug trafficking, and providing situational awareness during military operations. Spy balloons are typically tethered to the ground or a mobile platform, and they can remain in air for extended periods of time, sometimes up to several weeks. They are able to provide a bird's-eye view of a large area, and their cameras and sensors can capture high-resolution images and data that can be used for analysis and intelligence gathering. Spy balloons are often used in conjunction with other surveillance technologies, such as drones and satellites, to provide a comprehensive view of an area or target. However, they are typically less expensive to operate than other surveillance technologies, and they can be deployed relatively quickly and easily, making them a valuable tool for military and government agencies. The Chinese spy balloon operations could have revealed secretive information about the U.S. nuclear arsenal, and now that the balloon was downed, it could provoke a response from China that could lead to another Cold War. The scale of China's balloon surveillance could be more extensive than a handful of flights over the U.S. Now the Biden administration is still trying to determine the full extent of China's spy balloon intrusions into U.S. airspace, and it's possible that the number of confirmed Chinese surveillance flights over the U.S. rises. Now the question arises that why couldn't the U.S. intelligence agencies detect the object earlier? And why wasn't it dealt with immediately after detection? The revelation this month that the Chinese were able to fly surveillance balloons into American airspace without the U.S. military detecting it over a period of years has raised questions about an intelligence failure and prompted calls for investments in the country's air defense and radar systems. There are currently 5 known Chinese balloon flights into U.S. territory, including 2 during the Biden administration and 3 during Donald Trump's presidency, according to the Biden administration's public statement. The military and intelligence agencies detected 3 balloon flights during the Trump presidency after Trump had left office by reviewing the data for previous sightings of unidentified aerial objects, according to Biden officials. The 4 known flights prior to the February shoot-down spent far less time in U.S. airspace. That balloon, which was 200 feet tall and carried a payload weighing more than 2,000 pounds, was shot down on February 4th off the coast of South Carolina by a missile fired from an F-22 fighter jet. But the debris has revealed things that were unexpected and might deteriorate the situation further. All of the balloon debris is believed to have been collected off the ocean floor, including key equipment from the payload. It also led to the U.S. military scouring the skies for other objects that were not being captured by radar, leading to an unprecedented 3 shoot-downs in 3 days. Now, key questions about the Chinese balloons remain unanswered, including what, if any, intelligence it was able to collect as it flew over sensitive military sites in the United States, and whether it was able to transmit anything back to China. If the spy balloon was able to transfer something back to China, this could have serious consequences for Washington in the long term. The escalating dispute over a downed Chinese surveillance balloon once again left many countries stuck in the middle of the world's two largest economies. Like so many clashes between Washington and Beijing, the downing of a Chinese surveillance balloon by the U.S. military has rippled across the world, drawing in U.S. allies. Jets scrambled in Europe, new displays of public unity from South Korea and Japan, and debates over security in Britain. Diplomatic competition between China and the U.S. has been intensifying from Africa to the Pacific, with deals on trade and military bases, while both seek to persuade existing allies to reevaluate their ties with the other side. For many countries, however, the balloon saga is just the latest tricky issue to navigate as they try to balance relations with the world's two largest economies. According to U.S. officials, NATO, the Western military alliance, is also on high alert. 2 Romanian military planes under NATO command were deployed in response to the detection of a high-altitude object, but did not confirm its presence. In Britain, Prime Minister Rishi Sunak said airspace security would be reviewed. But Europe, especially leading power Germany, has generally remained reluctant to distance itself from China as fully as the U.S. might hope, despite deteriorating relations over human rights issues and Beijing's tacit support for Russia's war in Ukraine. No doubt that the balloon saga has escalated tensions between the two superpowers, and the world order seems to be changing rapidly. But what happens next may redefine the course of history forever. The use of spy balloons is consistent with China's broader efforts to enhance its intelligence gathering capabilities and expand its influence globally. China has invested heavily in developing advanced technologies for surveillance, including artificial intelligence, facial recognition, and satellite imagery. Spy balloons can provide an additional layer of surveillance capability, particularly in areas where other surveillance technologies may be less effective, such as in remote or mountainous regions. China's use of spy balloons has raised concerns among global stakeholders and security experts, who worry about the potential implications for national security and privacy. In some cases, countries have taken steps to limit or monitor the use of Chinese technology, including spy balloons, due to concerns about Chinese government access to sensitive data or information. After the appearance of surveillance balloons across the U.S. airspace and the consequent intelligence that was gathered by the debris, it goes without saying that the Chinese surveillance operation has affected the relationship between the two superpowers. After the pandemic gave way for the two superpowers to finally negotiate, the spy balloon saga has appeared as a hurdle. It has left many countries in the midst of the two superpowers. But what happens next depends on whether there will be any response from Beijing, or will the West form a strong coalition against China? What do you think? Let us know in the comments section below. Make sure you press the like button, and if you do like watching videos on global politics and paradigm shifts, press that subscribe button, and we'll see you guys in the next video.